This is News at 11 on WCJB TV 20, your local station.
TV 20 has learned tonight that the truck driver who state troopers say caused yesterday's deadly wreck on I-75 has a long history of traffic infractions. In an incident report, troopers say the Holland semi bumped into a Honda and both traveled across the median and into oncoming traffic. 7 people, including Holland, were killed in the ensuing head-on collision with another truck and passenger van. A court record search of Holland's home in Palm Beach County found at least 8 cases in 5 states against Steve Holland, going all the way back to 2001. Charges range from speeding and careless driving to using an improper license plate and driving an unsafe vehicle. Holland drove for Eagle Express lines out of Illinois, and the company issued a statement on Facebook tonight saying, quote, "We can confirm one of our tractor trailers was involved and the driver, a member of the Eagle team, passed away at the scene. We are cooperating with the investigation." A majority of the victims were in a church passenger van from Marksville, Louisiana. TV 20's Landon Harris spoke on the phone today with the district attorney from Marksville, who is coordinating with the victims' families. Landon joins us live in the studio with what the district attorney had to say.
Charles Riddle says the past 24 hours have been some of the hardest he has ever encountered, as he has been trying to help families not only grieve the loss of their loved ones, but also work with Florida Highway Patrol to confirm who was injured and who did not survive.
I haven't gone anywhere today where people haven't been asking about it. And, I mean, that's eating lunch, going to the courthouse, just walking on the street.
With only a population of 6,500, almost everybody in Marksville knows somebody who was either injured or killed in Thursday's accident.
Most of them were from Marksville, but some of them were outside of the Marksville area. They basically were from one particular church, and it seems like there's a connection to everybody. When there's so many people involved, it seems like everybody has someone that's a very close friend or family member. So the effect on our area, this community, is devastating.
It's been tough when you're a small community. Everybody knows everybody, and it's been a really hard day around here.
The church had been planning the Disney trip for some time, and the excitement when they left is part of what makes the loss of so many so difficult.
I know that those people involved in that church were very excited about going. I mean, they were ecstatic. I was told some of them couldn't even sleep the night before. That's how excited they were. And it's tragic. They wanted to enjoy themselves.
Many families traveled to Gainesville to visit those injured in the hospital. Others flew in Friday morning, and one family who didn't have the money to make the trip was even flown privately by someone with a plane. For anyone who would like to help the affected families, there is a GoFundMe account to help pay for traveling expenses and more.
I know that there's a GoFundMe account for those that don't have access to resources or contact of the local church. All of those are ways that people can assist. It's going to be tragic, and obviously, you know, some of them don't have resources even to pay for funeral expenses. So all of that is going to be an area where people can assist.
Riddle told me the outpouring of support, not only from his own community, but especially those here in Gainesville trying to find any way to help the families, has been incredible. If you'd like to extend a helping hand, you can find the link to the GoFundMe account on our website posted to this story after tonight's show. Reporting in the studio, Landon Hara, TV 20 News.
Since the crash yesterday afternoon, the Florida Highway Patrol has now released the identities of those involved in the crash.
61-year-old Mark Hodling of Gainesville was the only person to actually walk away without injuries. The 7 who lost their lives were the truck driver Holland, 14-year-old Joel Cloud of Marksville, Louisiana, 14-year-old Jeremiah Warren of Marksville, 9-year-old Sierra Bordelin of Marksville, 13-year-old Kara Descant of Marksville, 10-year-old Brianna Descant of Marksville, and the other trucker, 49-year-old Douglas Balcoma of Albuquerque, New Mexico.
8 people also were injured in that crash. 41-year-old Robin Rattray of Gainesville, 45-year-old Amy Joffrian of Mansoura, Louisiana, 30-year-old Allie Laborde of Marksville, 14-year-old Noah Joffrin of Mansoura, 11-year-old Chelsea Laborde of Marksville, 8-year-old Trinity Woodward of Hesmer, Louisiana, and 9-year-old Chance Bernard of Hesmer all have serious injuries. 50-year-old Karen Descan of Marksville is the only person currently listed in critical condition.
As we told you, the church van was on its way to Disney World, and Disney released a statement this evening saying, quote, "There are no words to convey the sorrow we feel for those involved in yesterday's tragedy. We extend heartfelt condolences to the families and loved ones impacted by this tragic accident."
Despite the tragedy both the North Central Florida and Central Louisiana communities are facing tonight, people in our community are trying to help. Pastor Eric Descan of the United Pentecostal Church in Louisiana reached out to the Pentecostals of Gainesville to ask if they could be with the victims while he traveled to the area. The pastor for the Pentecostal Church in our area has been at UF Health Shands Hospital since the victims were taken there.
That church is in Louisiana, we're in Florida, we're one church and we're one body, and so the Bible teaches explicitly that when one member cries, we all cry, and when one member rejoices, we all rejoice. Well, it just so happens that we're crying today.
Pastor Tony did tell TV20 his church will hold a community prayer service for the families this Sunday night at 6 o'clock. Pine Grove Baptist Church in Trenton also is lending a helping hand. They are accepting gift cards and gas card donations for the families affected.
There is a need of blood donations because of that crash on I-75. A Life South Community Blood Center spokesperson says there's critical need for type O negative and type O positive blood. UF Health Shands Hospital has called the Center for Blood to help the crash victims.
Let's take a first look at the weather now for North Central Florida, and the skies have cleared up and the temperature is starting to go down. Meteorologist
Alex Calamia is here to tell us how chilly it might get tonight.
And definitely the difference can be felt between last night and tonight, and that's just the beginning of what's going to be a much cooler, more seasonable weekend. Outside, all is calm at the Gainesville Regional Airport, and things are starting to clear out in terms of our cloud cover. Can't quite see it because, of course, it is nighttime, but the Suwannee River Valley area seeing nearly clear skies, whereas we're still dealing with a couple of showers out towards Daytona Beach and the Orlando Metro, even some parts of Ocala just getting out of those showers. It's still 60 in Gainesville and Ocala, believe it or not, but with the lack of humidity, we are definitely starting to feel the difference. This is a couple of degrees cooler than we were at this time last night. 8 degrees cooler now in Gainesville than 11 o'clock on your Thursday, and as you head farther to the northwest, well, it's even cooler there than it was at this time yesterday. And the temperatures are only going to drop from here. We're talking mostly upper 40s across the Suwannee River Valley by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. 50 for Gainesville and a little warmer as you head to the south and east. We're going to talk about how cool we get for the rest of the weekend in a couple minutes.
Meridian Behavioral Health Care in Gainesville had to be placed on lockdown this afternoon. A spokesperson for the company says the Alachua County Sheriff's Office notified them of a possible threat, so they then chose to place the building on lockdown, but said about 10 minutes later they ended the lockdown after being notified the threat was no longer viable.
Gainesville Police Department has announced they have a new SWAT team leadership ready to go in March. DPD Chief Tony Jones asked for an extension from the Alachua County Sheriff's Office in helping out the city, but Chief Jones says the GPD team should be ready by March 25th. The team was deactivated in November after 4 members resigned, 3 of which were in leadership roles. That's when the city then asked the county for help responding to cases.
Outgoing Governor Rick Scott has appointed new members to the College of Central Florida Board of Trustees. The 4 are 29-year-old Robert Winsler of Crystal River, 76-year-old William Edgar of Ocala, 68-year-old Robert Durrance of Bronson, and 67-year-old Avis Craig of Crystal River. Winsler will serve until May of this year, while Durrance and Craig will serve until 2021. Edgar will serve till 2022. The appointments do have to be confirmed by the Senate.
The NAACP is joining a South Florida student in her fight demanding that the company that administers the SAT test release her score.
Trent Kelly reports she says the score, which is 300 points higher than her last attempt, is the result of hard work, but SAT officials say she cheated.
I know from an example that you have to work hard and study and focus to achieve your dreams. And I'm not going to let ETS take what I earned away from me.
A passionate plea from Camilla Campbell, the South Florida student accused of cheating on her SAT after the company that administers the test, ETS, said her score increased by 300 points.
We're asking that you give her the score that she earned, not what you think she got.
On Wednesday, Campbell's attorney, Benjamin Crump, demanded ETS validate Campbell's score or face possible legal action. Today, Crump says the company has yet to even present any evidence of cheating.
If you accuse somebody of cheating, if you defame someone's character, then the burden is on you. It is not on the person who is accused to prove their innocence.
Crump says his office has been contacted by at least a dozen other families who claim the very same thing happened to their children. Now, more voices are joining in the fight in support of Campbell, including the local NAACP and at least 2 Miami-Dade school board members.
I think it is high time that we elevate a discussion around this issue, and what the data will reflect is that too often these issues malign certain communities and certain children, and specifically children of color.
And late this morning, we also received a statement from Congressman Frederica Wilson, who says she is now planning to look into this matter. During the press conference today, Crump still threatening possible legal action against ETS. For its part, ETS did send us a statement earlier this week saying it's their policy not to comment on individual test scores.
Well, we're heading into the weekend around North Central Florida and hoping for some good weather outside.
How's it looking, Alex?
Much better now that we are finished and through with that cold front. It's actually going to be pretty sunny for the weekend, but take those coats out. You're going to need them. That's coming up next. Well, today was the last of the real heat across our area. Day 5 of 80s in Gainesville and in Ocala as well. But not all of us were seeing the warmth today. It was in the 70s in Cross City, Lake City, and upwards to the northwest, still above average. But if you're wondering what the reason is for the discrepancy, it had to do with the timing of the rain. So let's take a look earlier today from about noontime to mid-afternoon. You could see the rain, just a very heavy line of rain to the front of this batch of storms, and then much lighter rain behind it. About 2 to 3 hours of the rain. That's what we all encountered today. But one more time, take a look at those reds and yellows and oranges. That's heavy rain, and with that rain-cooled air came gusty winds. So here's a look at some of those storm reports. You can see tree damage reports, especially on the southeast side of Alachua County from Hawthorne and then into Interlochen and Putnam County, into Palatka and St. Augustine. These are all areas that saw the worst of the wind and even some of the damage. So let's reveal some of the details. 49-mile-per-hour wind gusts, that's what was recorded in St. Augustine. 45-mile-per-hour winds in Palatka, and then that tree on the home that we showed you at 5 and 6 o'clock. The National Weather Service has accepted that as a storm report as well. So we're the media partner they're talking about. And so just a second storm report for Hawthorne, the first one, another tree down. That was reported by an emergency management official. But a beautiful end to the day. Check out this picture from Dave in Little Lake, Santa Fe, just showing that westerly clearing right around sunset time. So you have the beautiful contrast of the storm clouds. Then you even have the Statue of Liberty. I can't figure that part out, but definitely a beautiful view to a beautiful end to the day. Now it's 60 in Gainesville, a little cooler along the Swanee River Valley. We're in the mid-50s there right now. It's still above average for this time of the year, this time of the night, but we'll continue to see some of that cooling down. And as far as the rain, it's mostly over with, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few showers still in parts of Marion County, because as you can see on Doppler radar, the atmosphere is still moist in areas like Daytona Beach and the Orlando metro area. So the possibilities there for a few showers as that cold front starts to ride its way out into the Atlantic. But behind this, we're talking about much clearer conditions. It is going to be beautiful this weekend. We're already looking at a lot of beauty across the southeast. Compare that to the map we were looking at earlier on in the week where it was just pouring rain. It's really not too cold either. We're talking 40s in Jackson, New Orleans, Pensacola. So no bitter cold. Nobody reporting below freezing temperatures this evening in the southeast. And so Although a cold front came through, it is not going to mean bitter cold for us this weekend, just closer to average. Keep in mind, we've been 15 to 20 degrees above average. So we start off our Saturday morning with a mix of clouds, especially out towards Orlando and Tampa. Here in north central Florida, we will be clear for most of it. We continue to clear out throughout the day on Saturday. Sunday's the coolest of the mornings with some pretty stiff northerly breezes, but it's going to be sunny with that area of high pressure and just gorgeous for the weekend. No rain in sight. 64 is the afternoon high for tomorrow. A little cooler than what we're used to, but it's seasonable. We're used to it for January, just not used to it yet because we haven't seen this kind of cool air in a while. But for the first weekend of 2019, it is looking gorgeous. Then we warm up a little bit Monday into Tuesday. A cold front passes through towards the middle of the week, but we're not expecting a lot of moisture with it. So just slight chance of rain and then back to some cooler temperatures. So we get a little up and down, little variation, but overall, no complaints from me.
I don't like seeing an extended forecast on a Friday because all I want to see is Saturday and Sunday.
We'll have to condense it, just a special one.
Please do.
So
All
I
right.
won't think about the weekday.
All right, Alex, thanks a lot. Well, you know, over the last several years, the man from the Panhandle has become well known for baking cakes.
Shelley Campbell checked in with the Cake Man to find out how he and his passion to bake fared after a hit from Hurricane Michael.
With the holidays behind us, many people have taken off their oven mitts and put away their mixing bowls. But James Brooks of Alpha hasn't missed a beat or a beater.
Take about an hour and 15 minutes per cake. I started doing it really for real often back in 1991, just before my mother passed away. And it's continued getting more and more every year.
He's better known as the Cake Man.
I've had people to call and asked me, said, "This is a Cake Man?" I said, "Yep, this is a Cake Man."
Brooks made more than 1,700 cakes in 2017. But like many of us, Hurricane Michael slowed him down a bit.
This time it was just a little over 1,500 on account of Hurricane Michael. I was out of power for 22 days, so I didn't make any for about 6-7 weeks.
Brooks delivers his tasty treats all across Northwest Florida.
This is the one I started with several years ago. Several of my businesses in Marietta this time didn't have their Thanksgiving parties because of the storm, and which was good because I had plenty to do during that storm too. So.
His goals in 2019 are to top the number of cakes he made 2 years ago.
That's a lot of cakes.
Yeah, I'm glad to see he's getting back to busy.
Well, coming up next, the negotiations continue after the government shut down about 2 weeks ago.
We'll bring you the latest details when the TV 20 News at 11 returns. Day 14 of the partial government shutdown, and still no deal between President Trump and congressional Democrats.
ABC's Linda Lopez reports both sides negotiated for a second time this week at the White House.
On day 14 of the partial government shutdown, congressional leaders at the White House, both sides calling the talks contentious.
I can speak for Republicans in the House and Republicans in the Senate. They feel very strongly about having a safe country.
We really cannot resolve this until we open up government.
Democrats claim the president said he's willing to have the shutdown go on for months or a year.
Absolutely, I said that. I don't think it will, but I am prepared.
But Democrats demanding an end to the shutdown before they'll debate border security.
Don't hold millions of Americans, hundreds of thousands of workers hostage. Open up the government and let's continue the discussions.
800,000 federal employees furloughed or working without pay. The president was asked, what is his message to them?
The people that won't get next week's pay or the following week's pay, I think if you ever really looked at those people, I think they'd say, Mr. President, keep going. This is far more important.
ABC News has learned the president is considering a different path to getting his border wall.
Have you considered using emergency powers to grant yourself authorities to build this wall without congressional approval? And second,
yes,
on Mexico, you have?
Yes, I have. And I can do it if I want.
So you don't need congressional approval to build the wall?
No, we can use them. Absolutely. We can call a national emergency because of the security of our country.
Both sides say staffers will continue discussions over the weekend, but it's the president and congressional leaders who must agree to end this stalemate. Linda Lopez, ABC News, New York.
It's a Friday night, winter, you know what that means. basketball.
And TV20 Sports Director Kevin Wells tells us his head is spinning from all of tonight's action.
Yeah, TV20 putting on a full-court press tonight at 4 locations in North Central Florida. PK Young's girls playing on back-to-back nights, plus a district clash in 1A boys. That's all next. With only 5 players on the court, it's not unheard of for Lilliput to take down Gulliver in basketball. And from Hawthorne to Trenton, some of the best North Central Florida teams compete at the 1A level. Tonight's a big one in small schools. Class 1A District 7, Chiefland unbeaten in conference play, entertaining Bell at 5-1 in the district. And this one was good till the last drop. How about the ball movement by the Bulldogs? Josh Mendoza connects. Bell up 9 in the third quarter. Next time down, Brandon Orighol's capping the play. It's 38-27 Bell, but the Indians storm back in this one. Early fourth quarter, deflected inbounds pass into the hands of Quay Brodus. Chiefland trailing by just 4 at that point. And the comeback continues. Payne Parnell finds Rodney Williams, and he's fouled plus the basket. It's all tied up. Frantic final seconds of regulation. Chiefland needing a 3 to tie. Brodus nearly travels with it, but hits the tying 3 with 6 seconds to play. On to overtime, 48 all. The Indians take it in OT, 54-49. Wow. Class 4A District 1, O'Call facing McClay out of Tallahassee. Both schools a game under 500 overall. It takes the Eagles 4.5 minutes to hit a field goal. Michael Holloway feeds Steve Khalil. There it goes. O'Call down 7-2. And the Eagles going on a miniature run here. 30 seconds later, Colin Ponton squares up, and the deficit is just 2. But the Marauders pretty much do as they please here. Jackson Brown off the miss. He's not a pretender. The Clay leads throughout. Your final 64-37. Second time blowing out O'Call by at least 25. Girls hoops. PK Young ranked number 3 in the state in Class 4A, hosting 14-2 Reigns, ranked number 4 in Class 5A. The opening quarter, the Blue Waves' Courtney Moore comes off the screen and lets it fly. One of her 2 3-pointers in the opening quarter, 8-2 PK Young. Tell you what, the visiting team is Reigns, but Moore making it rain on the Vikings. How about the killer crossover and the fake out? 10 for her in the first, 26-9 Blue Wave. Second quarter. These are all different plays. Same individual. More automatic. Blue Wave putting on a show, hammering the visitors from Jacksonville 77-59. Intriguing non-league girls matchup. 10-5 Keystone Heights battling the Rock. Third quarter. Keystone's Haley Julius taking it strong to the rack. She drops in the floater. Indians trail though, 34-24. Lions answer. Spot up triple for Chasey Williams. Welcome to the Rock. Lions roaring up 13. Couple of plays later, Savannah Chanel offering a hot take. She does windows. Keystone Heights trailing 39-26. In the fourth, Williams helps the Lions pull away. The Rock stays out in front, prevailing 60-45. Hey, don't forget, first game of SEC action tomorrow for the Gator men's basketball team. Florida hosting South Carolina at 7. Watch for Noah Locke. The freshman from Baltimore has led the Gators in scoring in each of the last 3 games. Then Sunday at 1, the Florida women try to bounce back from last night's loss to Alabama as the 4-10 Gators welcome in Auburn. Tigers 12-2, but coming off a loss to Tennessee. O'Call lacrosse player Ryan O'Leary dazzled as a junior, but now he's making a heel turn, as in North Carolina Tar Heels. O'Leary and 3 of his Eagle teammates all signing national letters of intent. He's UNC bound after totaling 187 points in his first 3 seasons of high school, including a program record 10 in a single game. Fellow attackman Kyle Cox will attend Mercer. Cox accumulated 100 points last season alone. Midfielder Bradley Vincent signs with Rollins College, and defenseman Jack Lyman says yes to Hampton-Sydney College in Virginia. Gator football had a lot of early departures since the end of the Peach Bowl, up to 5 now, declaring their eligibility for the draft. One player who says he's coming back, Tyree Cleveland, junior wide receiver, broke his collarbone, didn't play the end of the year anyway.
I see a lot of Georgia players are transferring out. And
yeah, Justin Fields now going to Ohio State.
All right, thanks, Kevin, very much.
All righty, it's finally the weekend, Friday night. We're ready.
It is here, the first weekend of 2019. We had the rain today, but it was good news for our weekend because now things are looking really nice. Let's take a look out there for your overnight planner. We're in the 50s right now. We're going to remain that way throughout the remainder of the evening. So any Friday night plans are going to be good to go. We're talking maybe upper 40s along the Swanee River Valley by 7 o'clock in the morning. That's going to be the first time in about 2 weeks that we've dropped below 50, but this is average for January. Keep in mind that 66 is the average high temperature, so we're just shy of that tomorrow afternoon, but plenty of sunshine to make up for it. Then we're cool on Sunday morning, another gorgeous afternoon for your Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. Also, by the way, we have a 10 to 20% chance of rain towards the middle of the week because of a cold front that passes on through, but as you can see, not too cold behind it, just a little bit cooler than what we're used to. Overall, this is not a bad extended forecast for that first full week of 2019.
No snow.
Yeah, how about February?
Well,
what about hurricane season?
You know,
what do you think about next Christmas?
People ask that, and the reality is it is still winter.
It'll be time to start shopping. Right.
Yeah, right. How many shopping days until Christmas?
Oh, boy.
We're done killing time for tonight. Thanks for watching.
Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.